What does it take to grow up when the world you lived in is built on fire and flight? Many stories about becoming a leader focuses on triumph, on bold declarations, legendary victories, and chosen ones stepping into their destiny. But Dragon's Race to the Edge resists that myth. It isn't about one moment of greatness, it's about many small, painful ones. Mistakes, compromises, friendship tested under pressure. It's about finding strength not in power, but in empathy. The show doesn't glorify the fantasy, it deconstructs it. Yes, there are dragons in distant lands, epic battles, and ancient artifacts, but at its core, Race to the Edge is about the cost of growth, the price of curiosity, what happens when kids leaves the safety of home and discovers that the world doesn't just need heroes, it demands sacrifice. Over 6 seasons, we watch Hiccup and his dragon rider step beyond the borders of Berk and into the unknown. Not because they want glory, but because they have to. Because knowledge once glimpsed can't be unlearned. Because to protect what they love, they first have to understand what they're up against. Dragon's Race to the Edge isn't a tale of chosen ones. It's a story about becoming, and the journey to becoming is rarely clean, never easy, and always worth watching. So if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos after this one. And follow my new Substack in the link below for more personal reviews on the TV shows that I watch. And now, without further ado, let's explore Dragon's Race to the Edge. Chapter 1. Leadership Forged, Not Inherited. Being a leader is not something that is passed down simply because of legacy. Yes, Hiccup Haddock was destined to become the chief of Berk, but that alone didn't guarantee he would be a great leader. Leadership doesn't come automatically with inheritance, it must be earned. Hiccup's leadership, much like his father's, wasn't rooted in tradition or obligation. It stemmed from something deeper, his experience as a dragon rider, leading his friends through uncharted territories and into battles against dragon hunters. He grew into the role, shaped by the trials he faced alongside his dragon, Toothless. Leadership in these kind of situations is never easy. It demands difficult choices, and sometimes poor judgment could jeopardize an entire legacy. And perhaps most challenging of all, the ability to separate friendship from responsibility. A leader must draw the line between camaraderie and command, especially when others rely on their guidance. That's why Hiccup's journey since befriending Toothless matters so much. He matured through that bond, becoming not just a leader to his friends, but to all of Berk. His greatest strength was his compassion, the ability to approach problems with kindness, a trait that can't be inherited, but must come from within. It was this hope and empathy that drew people to him, a quality we see throughout his adventure. Initially, the world didn't align with Hiccup's vision. Vikings and dragon have fought for centuries, and Hiccup himself didn't fit that mold of a traditional Viking in the eyes of his people. But he changed everything by becoming the first person on Berk to befriend a dragon and offer a path of peace in a seemingly endless conflict. That act was the turning point, the moment Hiccup first stepped into the shoes of a true leader. From there, his journey continued, driven by curiosity and a desire to understand what lay beyond the horizon. Facing both wonders and hardships, he grew into a leader, not because he was stoic the vast son, though that connection helped, but because he embraced who he was and used his unique strength to make a difference. Chapter 2. The Weight of Dragon Knowledge. The concept of curiosity since the beginning of time has been the reason why humans have made both the advancements and mistakes during a long existence. It is that blanket of curiosity that drives us to do the things we might not want to, but have to, and Hiccup is no less innocent of this. His desire to understand and explore the islands far beyond the archipelago is the key reason why he encounters the adventures he did, discovering new dragons he had never heard or seen before, and ultimately waging a war against the ruthless dragon hunters, adversaries the like of which Hiccup had never faced. These were enemies with disturbing efficient, business-like approach, capturing dragons in brutal ways and selling them on the black market. They were equipped with advanced armaments, cages unbreakable to most dragons, and arrows dipped in dragon root to easily subdue them. These battles and adventures would never have happened if Hiccup had stayed on Berk, content with the knowledge he already possessed. But no, he chose to follow his curiosity, living a life not full of the mundane, but of adventures and thrill. Guided by the enticing information from the Dragon Eye, an artifact that could be considered too dangerous for all to see, he followed its promise, knowledge of new dragons and uncharted islands. It's a dangerous path to walk, knowing that whatever truth he would uncover through the Dragon Eyes would inevitably lead him into perilous adventures. And that ultimately is what we humans, just like Hiccup, are built to do. To chase curiosities, see where it leads, and face the challenges that comes with it. Challenges that either leads us to new discovery and growth, or to uncertain death. Chapter 3. Control disguised as strategy. The type of villains you will see in How to Train Your Dragons aren't something that can be explained through the modern lens. They're Vikings in their own way, and from that comes the stereotypical, brutish, deranged Vikings who just wants to rule over the archipelago. But then there are others, who are more smart and sinister. Instead of using a brute disguise that is far more noticeable, these villains hide in the shadow, controlling every scenario as if they knew it was coming, and striking at the last moment when things are already too late. They, like Hiccup, are smart and clever. As much as it is a fight of dragons, it is also a fight of intellect. Who can outsmart the other in the inevitable showdown? This is why the foes they face from Vigo to Johan are so intriguing to watch. It's not their villainous action per se that keeps us engaged, but the calculated move they make throughout the series. Vigo is the main classic villain archetype in the series. He uses his intellect to plan 6 steps ahead of everyone else, only to be equally matched by Hiccup. Then there's Johan, the tame, timid characters who we as the viewers never expect to be more than just a useful traitor, only for it to be revealed that he's one of the most notorious dragon hunters in the world. These villains aren't typical Vikings wanting to conquer, and better than anything, the heroes of the series learn much from the villainy that they brought upon them. The writers of the series, whether we realize it or not, are crafting something deeper than just watching the dragon riders beat down a bunch of hunters. Although there is some of that, what really draws us in is the fact that the Dragon Hunter clan is controlled so meticulously by its leaders that it becomes nearly impossible to predict their next move. Chapter 4: Dragons as Allies, Weapons, or Victim. The sole concept of how to train your dragon has always been about the new bonds that dragons and Vikings share, creating a new age for both kinds. Both are destructive in their own ways. Human possesses the ability to create almost anything they can imagine, while dragons wield their own unique elemental powers. It's this very power that kept them in constant conflict for so long. There was a deep-rooted distrust between the two species until the day Hiccup and Toothless met. That meeting marked the beginning of change. However, this doesn't mean dragons are harmless. Time and again, we've seen that when dragons fall under the control of wrongdoers, things can turn ugly. In such hands, dragons become victims of a system that turns their greatest traits into tools of destruction. Whether it's a deadly natter or a monstrous nightmare, their power can be weaponized. The Dragon Riders are constantly forced to grapple with this reality. Their mission has always been to understand dragons and discover new species. Still, they're also aware that there are those who would enslave dragons for their own gains. They must face tough moral questions. What should they do when they encounter a dragon that has been enslaved? Should they go after the enslaver, confront the corruption, or try everything in their power to save it? These dilemmas emphasizes that dragons alone are never the villains. When mistreated or turned against others, they become dangerous, but the blame lies with those who manipulated them. This moral complexity is what makes the Dragon Riders so compelling. They don't just fight battles, they constantly question the morality of their actions. Their true aim isn't only to win, but to free the dragons they deeply care about. Chapter 5: The Morality of Power over Nature. Owning pets have become an accepted part of culture. Whether it's aquatic creatures, dogs, or even cats, they have become staples in our lives, becoming just like another family member. But what if that family member was much more than that? Something fierce, strong, and even capable of breathing fire: dragons. Hiccup and the rest of the Dragon Riders have become close with their respective dragons, each sharing characteristic traits with one another, growing close, flying together, and even fighting in battle side by side. As much as we like to believe these dragons have formed deep emotional connection with the riders, we cannot forget where they actually came from. The first dragons the riders bonded with were originally captured by Berk to train the next generation of Vikings who hunted dragons. Toothless is the only one who didn't come from that background, and yet he too was shot down by Hiccup before they officially met. Instead of being released after peace was established between Berk and the dragons, they were domesticated, trained to live amongst humans. And that power over nature can be a dangerous tipping point. Yes, the Dragon Riders loves their dragon deeply and strives to build a new future together, but neither we as the audience nor the writers themselves can truly understand what the dragons are thinking. So can we really say all the dragons would accept this shared vision? This tension lies at the heart of the story. The Dragon Riders, despite their love for their dragons, also work hard to protect other dragons from being captured or even sold. They aim to safeguard the natural world through the bonds they share with the dragons, and that's what makes their mission meaningful. When we were young, the idea of taming a dragon felt purely fantastical, an adventure filled with flight and fire. But as we grow older, we begin to see beyond the fantasy. We start to question what it really means to take control over a wild creature even with love. That's what makes the Dragon Rider's journey so compelling. It mirrors our own shift from wonder to responsibility, from excitement to ethical reflection. Their bonds with dragons becomes more than just companionship. It becomes the lens through which we examine our own place in nature and how much of it we have the right to claim. Chapter 6, The Ending. All three series, Riders of Berk, Defenders of Berk, and Race to the Edge, were stories that bridged the gap between the two How to Train Your Dragon movies. They provided the answers we wanted to see, offering context for how Berk, once at war with dragons, became a place where dragons were an integral part of the culture by the second movie. These series didn't just fill in narrative gaps, they introduced brand new characters and antagonists that expanded the world even further. Race to the Edge in particular was the dragon riders growing, not just physically, but emotionally. They evolved from kids growing up on the islands of Berk into young adults discovering their identity and grappling with the complexity of the world around them. It was a place of inevitable discovery. In a world where dragons and Vikings coexist, these discoveries often came in forms of dangerous, high-stake aerial dragon battles. Over 6 seasons, the series continued what the first 2 series had started, bringing back familiar faces while introducing threats more serious and personal than any other rider had faced before. From the moment the riders left Berk to explore the edge of the archipelago, they stepped into a new chapter of their lives. No longer were they just kids dreaming of adventure, they were living it. Every fight, challenge, and discovery they encountered shaped them, offering lessons that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. And while this wasn't the real ending to their story, much like the movies themselves, filled with grand adventures and meaningful growth. From making new allies and learning more about the expanded world of the dragons, to battling enemies like those hunting the Bewilderbeast, the King of Dragons, these tales carried the plot forward. What makes these stories special isn't just the narrative, they deepen our emotional connection to the characters and dragons we love. We got rare glimpses into the quiet lives, Hiccup's reflection as he grows into becoming a leader. The unique personality and characters of each dragon rider are brought to the forefront, with episodes that focuses on characters like the twins or Snotlout, highlighting how their distinctive traits influences the group's dynamic. And to the bonds between friends and dragons, that's what we should appreciate, not just the format, but the chance to care even more about the world and its inhabitants. And by the time they return from Dragon's Edge, they're no longer just dragon riders. They're individuals shaped by everything they've seen, lost, and learned. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon in the next review episode.